We spend so much of our lives searching for something, a sense of peace, a reason, a calling. Some call it purpose, others call it God, but perhaps it's simply the truth of who we really are. Yet, most of us live behind masks, roles, identities, expectations. We're the achiever, the caretaker, the rebel, the victim. But who are we beneath it all? Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century, believed that this question, who am I, really, isn't just philosophical, it's spiritual, it's psychological, and it's essential. In a world that pushes us outward, to perform, to prove, to belong, Jung dared to point inward. He believed that our deepest suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from being strangers to ourselves. He called the journey back to the self-individuation, a lifelong process of becoming whole, of integrating the hidden and fragmented parts of who we are. Today, we're going to explore this sacred path. This is not a quick fix. This is not a motivational speech. This is a mirror. It may reflect things you've hidden, wounds you carry, truths you've buried, but it will also show you your wholeness, your strength, and your divine potential. If you've ever felt lost, broken, disconnected from life's meaning, this journey is for you. So take a breath, let go of distractions, and prepare to meet the most important person you'll ever encounter, your true self. This is your spiritual journey, Jung's individuation process. Segment 1. Who was Carl Jung? Before we can truly understand the profound concept of individuation, we must first understand the visionary who brought it into the light. The man who dared to explore the depths of the human soul, with curiosity, courage, and compassion. Carl Gustav Jung was not just a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst. He was a pioneer of the inner world, a psychological explorer who mapped the unseen territories of the human spirit. Born in 1875, Jung began his career walking closely alongside Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. Together, they delved into the mysteries of the unconscious, challenging the rigid thinking of their time. For a while, it seemed like a historic partnership, until their paths split dramatically. Why? Because Jung saw something Freud didn't, while Freud focused on the darker urges, the repressed desires of the libido, and the emotional debris of childhood. Jung believed the human mind was far more expansive. He saw beyond trauma, beyond repression. He saw depth, meaning, and even divinity within the psyche. To Jung, the human mind wasn't a problem to be solved. It was a mystery to be explored, a living landscape of symbols, dreams, archetypes, and ancient myths, each one carrying messages from the soul, echoing through generations, all the way from the collective unconscious. Jung believed psychology shouldn't just be a science of pathology. It should be an art of transformation, a journey of growth, healing, and becoming. It wasn't about labeling disorders. It was about restoring balance, about helping people remember who they truly are beneath the masks they wear, and the pain they carry. Unlike Freud, Jung didn't reduce the human experience to base instincts. He elevated it. He saw spirituality in myth, not as illusions, but as essential elements of the psyche. To him, a dream wasn't just random noise from the brain. It was a sacred message from the soul. And at the center of his life's work was one revolutionary, soul-stirring idea. We are not born whole. We are born fragmented, incomplete. And our life's work is to gather the pieces, to integrate the forgotten parts, and to walk the long, winding path toward inner unity. This sacred process is what Jung called individuation. Segment 2. What is individuation? So, what exactly is individuation? What does it mean to become whole? In the simplest terms, individuation is the lifelong journey of becoming your truest, most authentic self, not the self that others expect you to be, not the version of you that conforms to the world, but the one that lives quietly at your core, waiting to be fully realized. It's not about perfection. It's not about chasing an ideal image or becoming some flawless version of yourself. Individuation is about integration. It's about embracing every part of your psyche, the light and the shadow, the known and the unknown, the strengths and the wounds, and allowing them to coexist in harmony. According to Jung, the human psyche is a complex constellation of forces and figures. The ego, your conscious identity, the I you think you are, the persona, the social mask you wear to navigate the world, the shadow, the aspects of yourself that you repress, deny, or disown, the anima or animus, the inner feminine in men, and the inner masculine in women. the soul's bridge to the unconscious. The self, not just another part of the psyche, but its center and totality. The divine spark, the wholeness you are destined to become. Individuation is the process of aligning all of these elements so that the self can emerge and lead. It is a return to your inner truth, a reunion with your essence, a remembering of who you were before the world told you who to be. But this path isn't easy. It requires more than self-help quotes and feel-good affirmations. It demands deep honesty, brutal self-reflection, and the courage to face parts of yourself you've long avoided. It is not the path of the ordinary. It is the path of the mystic, the pilgrim, the soul seeker, who walks into the forest, not knowing what they'll find, but knowing they must go. And this journey always begins in the same place, in the darkness, with the shadow. Segment 3, Facing the Shadow. The shadow is one of the most misunderstood and most essential parts of the human psyche. Too many, the word shadow conjures images of evil, danger, or something to be feared. But Jung challenged that perception. To him, the shadow wasn't simply the dark or malicious parts of us, it was broader than that. It was every part of ourselves we have pushed away, hidden, rejected, or been shamed for. Your shadow might include rage, envy, or selfishness. But it might also include creativity, joy, sensitivity, or assertiveness. It's not just what's bad. It's what's been banished. The shadow is formed through the subtle, often unconscious decisions we make to survive. The editing of ourselves to fit in, to be loved, to avoid punishment. A child who learns that anger is dangerous may grow up to repress it entirely. A teenager who's mocked for their creativity may bury it deep. Over time, we create a persona to survive. And everything that doesn't fit that mask is sent to the shadow. But what we repress doesn't vanish. It waits. It festers. It leaks out. Through passive aggression, projections, addictions, and inner sabotage. The shadow influences our thoughts, distorts our relationships, and silently writes the script of our lives, until we turn and face it. This is why individuation begins with shadow work. It begins by asking the hard questions. What have I exiled within myself? What traits in others trigger me, and why? Where am I wearing a mask, and what lies beneath it? What emotions or desires do I fear the most? This work is not for the faint of heart. It will shake your foundations. It will expose your wounds. You may feel resistance, shame, guilt, even grief. But Jung reminds us, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. True healing, true growth, doesn't come from escaping your pain. It comes from walking into it with awareness and love. When you stop fighting your shadow and start listening to it, something incredible happens. You begin to reclaim your power. You begin to feel whole again. And in that wholeness, you begin to touch the sacred truth that has been with you all along. You are not broken. You are becoming. Segment 4. The Dance of the Anima and Animus. Once the shadow has been acknowledged, that darker mirror we often avoid, another mysterious layer begins to reveal itself from the depths of the unconscious, the anima and the animus. These are not just psychological ideas. They are ancient forces moving beneath the surface of our identity. Carl Jung believed that within every man dwells an inner feminine presence, the anima, and within every woman resides an inner masculine essence, the animus. These are not about the binaries of gender or sexuality. They are archetypal energies, timeless patterns, embedded in the psyche, shaping how we relate to ourselves and to the world around us. The anima is the breath of feeling in a man's soul. She is emotion, intuition, sensitivity, receptivity, and imagination. When a man loses connection to her, he may become emotionally distant, hardened, or overly rational, a stranger to his own heart. The animus, in contrast, is the voice of reason and strength in a woman's soul. He is action, logic, assertiveness, and direction. When neglected, the animus can emerge in distorted forms, rigid opinions, inner conflict, or disconnection from one's own authority. When these energies are undeveloped, they wreak havoc in our relationships. The man projects his anima onto women, turning them into goddesses or devourers. The woman projects her animus onto men, making them tyrants or saviors. In both cases, we stop seeing the other clearly. We see only our inner wounds, cast outward like shadows on a wall. But when these energies are integrated, consciously acknowledged, respected, and balanced, they become pathways to wholeness. The inner man and inner woman meet, not in battle, but in sacred union. They dance, they listen, they love. Ask yourself, do I allow myself to feel deeply, to be vulnerable, to create without fear, to honor the feminine within me? Do I stand tall in my truth, take action with clarity, speak with strength, to honor the masculine within me? Do I allow both softness and strength, receptivity and resolve, to live side by side in my being? When the anima and animus come into harmony, the psyche becomes fertile ground for transformation. A deeper balance arises. A sacred equilibrium. This is not just psychology. It is alchemy. The fusion of opposites. The dance of yin and yang within the soul. And with that inner harmony comes a powerful stillness. A sign that you are walking toward yourself. Segment 5. Dreams. Messages from the soul. While the world sleeps and the stars wheel silently above us, your soul continues its ancient work. Jung saw dreams not as nonsense or neural leftovers, but as sacred messages from the unconscious. To the rational mind, dreams may appear fragmented, strange, or even absurd, but to the soul, they are a language older than words. A symbolic script written in light and shadow, in fear and desire, in truth and mystery. Each night, your consciousness slips into the underworld, and there, the psyche weaves stories, not randomly, not meaninglessly, but with intention, with insight, with healing in mind. Dreams reveal what your ego hides. They whisper of wounds you've ignored, of passions you've repressed, of potential you've yet to claim. They may come as nightmares, strange riddles, or beautiful visions, but all of them are guides. Jung believed that paying attention to dreams was essential to the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are. He encouraged the keeping of a dream journal, a sacred record of the soul's nightly language. Write down everything, even the nonsense. Especially the nonsense. Because often, truth hides behind absurdity. Within your dreams, live the archetypes, eternal figures that visit every human psyche. The wise old man, who brings wisdom from beyond. The child, who holds innocence and new beginnings. The trickster, who disrupts and transforms. The hero, who takes the journey. The great mother, who nurtures or devours. The self, the totality of who you are becoming. These are not just characters, they are energies within you, calling for integration. Your dream is not just a strange story. It is a mirror showing your soul. It is a message coded in metaphor. It is a map to something deeper than logic can explain. So ask yourself, am I listening? Am I honoring the dreams I once dismissed? Am I willing to let my unconscious speak, even if it speaks in riddles? Because the truth is this: if you learn to listen to your dreams, they will begin to speak more clearly. And they will guide you, not away from reality, but into the deepest truth of who you are. Segment 6. Synchronicity and the mystical path. As you begin to walk the path of individuation, as you peel back the layers of ego, shadow, and archetype, something magical begins to happen. Life itself begins to shimmer with meaning. You start to notice what Jung called synchronicities, those uncanny, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be chance. They catch your breath, they stop time for a moment, and they leave you wondering, is something trying to speak to me? You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years. And then they call. You're lost in doubt, and the answer appears on a passing billboard. You ask the universe for guidance, and a stranger says the exact words you needed to hear. These are not accidents. They are signs. Moments when the outer world and the inner world align in a mysterious harmony. Jung described synchronicity as the meaningful connection between internal events, thoughts, feelings, dreams, and external events in the world. It is not superstition. It is not magic in the childish sense. It is the soul's subtle way of confirming, yes, you are on the path. Yes, you are listening. Keep going. It's as if the universe begins to speak in your language. Not in words, but in symbols, timing, and resonance. The more you align with your authentic self, the part of you untouched by masks, roles, or fear, the more life responds. Not because you are special, but because you are awake. You are in rhythm with the deeper order of things. Call it soul, call it God, call it the unconscious mind. It doesn't matter what name you give it. What matters is that you feel it. You are not alone. You are not random. You are not lost. So when synchronicity knocks, do not shrug it off. Pause, breathe, listen. Because life is speaking, and it is inviting you into a deeper dance. The ultimate goal of individuation, the sacred inner journey Carl Jung so often spoke of, is not to become something entirely new, but to remember something ancient and eternal within you, the self, and not the lowercase self, the personality you perform for the world, the resume you build, the name you've been given, or the roles you play. No, we're speaking of the capital S self, the still quiet center that holds the totality of who you are. The self is not just the light you show the world, nor merely the shadow you hide in shame. It is the wholeness that contains both. It embraces your conscious mind and your deepest unconscious, your wounds and your wisdom, your doubts and your divinity. The self is not a trophy you earn, or a summit you conquer. It is not something you possess. It is something you are. But here's the paradox. You must lose yourself to find yourself. You must be willing to let go of your false certainties, to dissolve the masks, to question the story you've been told about who you are. The self is not a static object sitting at the end of a path. It's a living process, a dynamic unfolding. It's not a final destination. It's a deep remembering, a sacred reunion, a gradual homecoming to the soul. Each time you peel away a layer of ego, each time you confront the shadow or follow the trail of a mysterious dream, you move closer to this center, closer to that ancient, silent awareness that has always watched from within. And when you touch it, even for a fleeting moment, something changes. There is a silence that is not empty, but full. There is a peace that doesn't shout, but whispers. You are already whole. This inner knowing doesn't come from books or teachings. It arises from direct contact with your essence. The divine spark within you, untouched by trauma, untarnished by time. It is the part of you that never needed fixing, because it was never truly broken. The part that existed before the world told you who to be. To individuate is to slowly remember this self. To walk through fire, through sorrow, through wonder, and realize, again and again, I am more than I appear. I am both the question and the answer. I am already home. I had only forgotten. Segment 8. The journey never ends expanded. There's something most spiritual teachings don't always say out loud. Something raw and real. The path of individuation is not a straight line. It doesn't move neatly from point A to point B. It spirals, it loops. It sometimes circles back into darkness, just when you thought you had found the light. It's not a single awakening that changes everything forever. It's 1,000 awakenings, each followed by forgetting, and then remembering again. Some days you will feel illuminated, grounded, alive, as if you are standing at the very center of your being. Other days, you'll feel lost, fragmented, confused, as if the very ground beneath your feet has disappeared. And that is not failure. That is the journey. This work is not about becoming perfect. It's not about ascending into some airbrushed version of enlightenment. It's about being real. It's about showing up to the inner work, again and again, not because it's comfortable, but because it's true. Every time you sit with your shadow, instead of running from it. Every time you listen to the message inside a dream, instead of dismissing it. Every time you choose honesty over image, courage over fear, soul over ego. You are walking the path of individuation. And yes, you will stray. You will fall asleep at the wheel. You will choose comfort over truth, safety over growth. But the beauty is this. The path does not vanish when you forget it. It waits patiently. It calls softly. And when you are ready, it welcomes you back without judgment. Jung once wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And in those few words lies the deepest freedom. No matter where you've been, you still get to choose. Every single day. Every moment is a doorway. Will you walk through? Closing. Calm, inspiring music builds gently expanded. So now, I ask you, gently, without pressure, without demand, where are you on your journey? Are you still wearing the mask? Still performing the life you think others want you to live? Still running from your reflection, afraid of what you might see? Or are you beginning to feel the pull? That quiet nudge from deep within. That whisper in your chest that says, "There's more to me than this." Are you ready to stop chasing the dream they sold you, and start listening to the dream that lives within you? Not because the path is easy, it's not. Not because it's fashionable, it won't be, but because your soul is restless. Because your deeper self is knocking. Because something within you knows, there's no going back. The path of individuation is not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. It will ask everything of you, and give you something greater in return. But if you're still here, listening, then maybe, just maybe, this path is for you. It's time to shed the mask. Time to meet the self that's been waiting for you all along. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Welcome home.